may just be the biggest hints, the biggest and the most important leaks so far in the entire expansion that are relevant to the ending of the Shadowlands and what is to come after. While there isn't 100% official information, I'm not actually clickbaiting you guys, we have some groundbreaking info from the actual JAILER encounter, some models of Azeroth, the World Soul, and all sorts of crazy stuff. While it is very vague and there is a ton of room for speculation, these aren't just my theories, as there is quite a bit of evidence, albeit very scattered. As everything is incredibly confusing, I'll do my best to compile all the most recent info from the PTR, so obviously spoilers ahead. As you're aware, all of us gamers spend a long time in front of monitors, and if you work, you spend a lot of time in front of screens as well, which produces blue light, which can strain your eyes, and which can also affect your sleep. Luckily, the sponsor of this video, G&G Performance, sent me these glasses, which can come in real handy. So it is literally like putting on a blue light filter physically, and you immediately feel your eyes relax as soon as you put them on. Now currently this is the Black Friday edition. I'm currently wearing the Arenas ones, but they also have these cool optimizers which look awesome as well. Currently there is a really crazy Black Friday sale with a huge 50% discount, which is the best offer of the year, and it ends on November 29 at 11:59 PM PST, so be sure to check out G&G Performance by then. It is the only chance to get it at half the price, so check out my link in the description. Azeroth's World Soul is 100% without a doubt the most important thing in the universe, and every force and their mother has been trying to claim it and just get after it. In a way, it really connects every storyline that ever happened. The Void Lords almost got it with the Black Empire, Sargeras was after it and launched multiple catastrophic invasions that ultimately failed, only to in the end stab it in a desperate attempt, or was it even a desperate attempt? Stay tuned, as there might be a connection here with what is actually going on. Now, from the Chronicle book, we were told that Azeroth is essentially just a very powerful Titan soul because, as you know, Titans are planets that awaken, but in this case it was more powerful than any Titan prior to this, even Sargeras, which is why they set the ground for it to awaken and created all these systems on Azeroth. Well, a lot of that lore shifted with the Grimoire of the Shadowlands and beyond, as they revealed to us that the Titans are not exactly as they seem. To not bore you with a bunch of speculations, we don't really know what is going on. However, what is certain is that the Chronicle and all of Azeroth's history is incredibly biased, heavily favoring the Titans, and it isn't objective and it doesn't really explain what is going on outside of them claiming this World Soul for themselves. Now, the second thing that is 100% certain is that Azeroth is a World Soul. This was confirmed even most recently. First, the JAILER said that he is coming for the soul of our world, and literally a week ago, Blizzard sent an email telling us to go into Zereth Mortis as the fate of our World Soul depends on it. Keep in mind, never once in this expansion were the Titans mentioned, nor was the World Soul ever referred to as a Titan World Soul. Okay, so to not go any further, what is this actual new info from the PTR and all this datamined stuff? Keep in mind, there are heavy spoilers here, and while of course we don't know what exactly happens, there are some massive hints that are probably the most important bits of lore in like all of Warcraft history. So recently, I made a video on a similar topic saying that there is an obvious connection between the Sepulcher and the Azeroth World Soul, and while even at that point it was all but confirmed, right now it is without a doubt 100% confirmed. It isn't certain what type of connection, but huge things are happening. As 9.2 was announced, most of you may have noticed the model of the JAILER as a boss and what appears to be a gigantic azerite stream right behind him. Now, for everyone that played VFA and quested with Magni Champion, is familiar with Azeroth, knows what it looks like, knows the color and all that stuff, as far as you were told, azerite is the actual blood of the World Soul. When Sargeras stabbed it, the blood started leaking and nearly killed the World Soul, which is why we needed to purify the poison from Azeroth and to stop the bleeding, which we ultimately did. Well, right now, it is confirmed that this is indeed Azerite. Literally, assets data mined in the 9.2 PTR are called Azerite, and they use the name Azerite. We have an Azerite B models, and there is one incredibly interesting Azerite B model that may be the most important leak thus far. This appears to be used in the final room where we face off against the JAILER, and first we need to examine the actual layout. Not only does it seem to be quite similar to the room room where we were fighting Argus, but from the actual data mined maps, it seems to be brimming with azerite, and it seems to be one large, gigantic conductor for this energy. Now, onto the actual model I mentioned, there is literally a data mine model of what appears to be that main beam, and if you look closer, there is an actual planet at the bottom of the model. This could either be Azeroth itself as a planet, or it could be what is actually the soul of the world, and from this soul, gigantic stream of Azeroth is going forward. Now, you can just imagine implications of this. Some of the leaked, albeit not completely confirmed hints, indicate that this may just be a first one device or an interface that is literally siphoning the soul of the world and is using it as a power source. And damn, that just makes so much sense if that is the case, as it explains many things that happened thus far in the Shadowlands, as well as confirms the various speculations. As we were told, Zereth Mortis is the behind the scenes of the Shadowlands, and it is the so-called workshop of the first ones. Now, the Sepulcher is the actual forge, and it is the most important thing in Zereth Mortis. Now, what could be the cause is that the first ones are literally using Azeroth to empower the entire mechanism to keep the Shadowlands in place and to maintain the balance in the universe. So essentially, it is electricity for this gigantic universe type engine. Everything thus far confirms it. Remember the room cover memory scene when the jailer said that he is coming after the secret that the first one sought to hide? Well, imagine this. Zereth Mortis is hidden from everyone. Literally no one even knows about it. It took the brokers forever to even hear the name. It is behind the scenes of the architects of the universe, and not even the most powerful beings have access. And in the center of it is a gigantic beam siphoning Azeroth. Well, I'd wager that this might just be that secret that they sought to hide. Now, whether the first ones are forcefully siphoning Azeroth is unclear, and this is all up for speculations. It is possible that Azeroth is indeed the first one, or the first ones, or maybe what is left of the first ones, which is why the place siphoning it is called the Sepulcher. It could also be the most powerful source that every cosmological force was after, but as it was implied that the first ones defeated them and put them in their place, well, it is also possible that these first ones got to it first, and then instead of using it for their own game, they used it to set the balance to the entire cosmos. So, the first ones, the 7th cosmological force, won the Great Cosmological War, and they took Azeroth for themselves. Now, of course, it's speculation. Let's not go crazy with speculations. Let's get into some more groundbreaking data, because trust me, there is more, and this makes it even more confusing and even more mind-boggling. So, there's some data mined voice lines from an NPC called the Oracle that apparently indicates that Zereth Mortis is just for death. As we were told, Zereth is the keystone and Mortis is death, so this roughly translates as Death Keystone. I don't think we even need to talk about Zereth and Azeroth connection, as the name is almost completely identical. Well, apparently, Blizzard figured out Latin sounds real cool, so there seems to be other keystones and not just the death one. Allegedly, there is Zereth Lumen, Light, Zereth Ordos, Arcane, Zereth Vitae, Life, Zereth Umbra, Void, and Zereth Tumult, Fel. I don't even know where to go with this, as this is a ton to unpack, but if what we talked about is true, these could be the interfaces, the engines, the keystones to siphon a part of Azeroth to maintain all the other realms, as Zereth seems to be the connection to all of them. So the first ones could have literally took this insanely powerful source, created a mechanism for every cosmological force, and channeled Azeroth into all of them. Obviously, all this stuff is open to speculation, but let's get into the most mind-blowing bit of information, which explains why the Jailer is such a large threat and what is going on. So there is data mined info from the actual Jailer encounter, and guess what? He is literally attacking Azeroth in the final battle. Do you know what this could mean? He's attacking Zereth, which if destroyed would make all the other keystones useless, and it would literally undo reality and undo the universe. This bit here is speculation, but let's look at the actual encounter, which almost obviously happens either on Azeroth or somewhere where the Jailer can reach the Azeroth from. So apparently, during the fight, Zovaal launches a volley of missiles at Azeroth, decreasing the health of the World Soul, and we the champions are intercepting these spells. It seems like in the fight we will literally be shielding Azeroth from its ultimate destruction. It also appears that whatever Zovaal is doing is literally draining Azeroth's power to function. What happens further we just don't know, but the actual phases of the fight might reveal some really cool info. So one of the stages is called the Machine of Origination, which sounds incredibly similar to the Forge of Origination that we used to destroy Azeroth. Then the Jailer attunes to this machine in a phase called Unholy Attunement and is apparently releasing some sort of cosmic energy before turning his attention to Azeroth in the phase called the Unmaking, which obviously sounds similar to Argus the Unmaker. This info is 100% confirmed. Now, let us see what this could mean for all of us. Remember that gigantic sword that literally stabbed Azeroth? Well, with this new info, it seems to make a lot more sense. Do you remember that Zovaal worked with Sargeras to create the Lich King and ease the invasion into Azeroth? Well, what if he hasn't actually just manipulated him, but they were in league with each other and Sargeras left him a weapon that he can use? What if Sargeras wasn't just throwing a tantrum and was like, if I can get it, you can't get it either? What if this was just a plan B so that he can assist his ally the Jailer later on? If it is the case that Zereth is powering everything, if we didn't stop the bleeding, it would be the end to all the power coming into these Keystones. However, as that failed, now we know there is a big wound here where the sword is, so this might just be the weak spot that the Jailer will use to attack it. There even seems to be, albeit not 100% certain, an avatar of Azeroth in the final battle and a few other interesting things happening. So what if Azeroth might finally awaken and will ultimately defeat the Jailer and put an end to all this stuff? This is still super hard to speculate on, as we don't know whether the first ones are good or bad, and whether Azeroth is helping them willingly, or if they're doing the same thing Legion did to Argus and just using it as an engine. However, as we know, the birth of Azeroth is long overdue. This might just be the trigger and ultimately even the transition into the next expansion. Thank you for watching. Check out Is This Even Warcraft by clicking on the screen and check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.